Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. My name is Ashley. I'm here with Kev today for our post-match chat. Chris was at the game today. We're here to talk through a rather drab, toothless Liverpool performance. It finished 0-0 at home against Leeds in, what I can only describe as a lackluster performance, in my opinion. Kev, what's your prevailing first impression of that game?
Defensively, really solid. Boring as all hell. And as in fairness, as one of the comments that you guys were chatting before we got on, this comment here from David, we're so boring to watch. I hate this football. And it is. And Dave, I'm with you.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
It's painfully boring. And it is painfully slow, methodical. You said it earlier on to us in the chat, trying to score the perfect goal. And in doing so, in trying to score the perfect goal, you're ignoring the simple. You're ignoring the obvious. And yeah, we're just an awful sight to watch at the minute. And I think the PSV Eindhoven game scared the living crap out of him. And he's gone completely the polar opposite of that open attacking football to ultra conservative, ultra efficient. Zero risks. It's efficient. It's efficient with the ball
at one side of the pitch, I suppose.
Exactly. In the fact that don't give it away. Don't be silly. Don't take risks. Don't give it away at all costs. If in doubt, go back and recycle and go again, which has its place in a game.
It has its place in the middle of the Premier League table. It doesn't have its place in elite football.
Yeah, but you have to be able to manage games with the ball, and that's fine when you're 2-0 up. But when you're starting a game with that mindset of not losing, it's almost the case at the minute for me anyway. I'm watching him, and he's like, we're determined not to lose, but almost afraid to win. And by that I mean we're not willing to gamble on losing. And we saw it towards the end. I mean, you got to the end, and it took him to like 5 minutes to go before he made his last change. There was an effective change in bringing Rio on. And at 1-0, he thought, I got to try and win it now. And where all of the other subs that he made were by the book, methodical. Okay, 65 minutes, he needs rest. This is the subs I have to make. But the whole lot of it, it's not just him. I mean, the players are playing to instruction. The players are playing to his ideals and his way the way he wants to play football. He's doing his best, and that's the way I see it. I mean, he's doing his level best to find his way out of a job, and it's unfortunate. But we see the manager sacked today on the back of one win in 7. There are other things going on at Chelsea, but at the end of the day, this is the level of performance at home against a side who've just been promoted, where you get 4 attempts on goal. This is the level of performance that calls into question your ability to take the club forward. And yeah, it's fine being defensively solid and being defensively sound. That's good. That's expected. But you have to carry an attacking threat. With that starting 11, with that squad that you put out there today, they have to carry more of a threat than that, and they just didn't. We'll go through some of the individual performances, but man for man, there's way more questions than answers.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of come in and talk logically after that performance, because I do feel like I was just lulled to sleep for almost 2 hours watching that game. And the amount of sideways and backwards passes, yes, it does come with a level of control. And I understand having that level of control for periods of the game. But that's your first gear, surely. You need to have a second gear, a third gear, a fourth gear to go into, where your plan, and we talked about needing a 90-minute performance. I understand if you want to keep the team in that first gear for most of the game for the purpose of controlling it. But I only understand that if you then have a plan to step up the gears at certain periods during the game. And that never happened. It was just all that level. And, it just, Chris was at the game, and he basically, my take from what he said is that this felt very much like the straw that broke the camel's back for him with Slot, where it's like he's done with Slot's tactics. And we were talking before this even started, we were talking about how, it seems like he's gone ultra conservative to try to rectify the fact that we were shipping goals. But it's like that Rafa blanket thing where if you pull the blanket up, then your feet are cold. And it's like he cannot get the balance right. And I think the more concerning part about it to me is that this feels like it's been, yes, it's a reaction to being poor, but it feels like it's been a direction of traffic for Slot actually since last year. I feel like he's been trying to get the team to come to this really slow, if you can want to call it controlled place, then that's okay. But it's so far away from the Klopp heavy metal football. It's so far away from what we know as sort of our brand of football as Liverpool that I can't help but feel averse to it. Like, control or no control, to me, this doesn't feel like Liverpool football. Like, it doesn't feel like we're watching a Liverpool team. And there was some holdover last year where you saw a lot of kind of tactics and things that were still Klopp-esque. And it does make you kind of ask the question, well, how much of that Klopp-esque tactics were needed in order to get us over the line? Because I don't know if it had been kind of all Slot's own way, if we would have been able to get over the line in the way that we did, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's enough of that ranting because I could go on forever.
Wax makes the point here. Last season was the same, but people did. We play a more controlled brand, but we were better defensively. But Salah had an all-time great season, and there's a lot in that when you look at how many goals we've scored this season so far. The fact that Hugo is our top scorer goals. The next one on the list is 3 players on 4, and you're halfway through. That's just shocking to me. I mean, that's a reflection of where we are at the minute. And if you're dependent on magic and moments of brilliance and individual flair to make you something, and you hope for that in a game, but when you're expecting that as being your main weapon, if you're not trying to score the perfect goal, you're expecting someone to do something unbelievable to get you something.
That's not a weapon, though. That's like, no, that's one of those things that happens sort of like a flash in the pan. It's, that's not something that's consistent.
Exactly.
Your plan of attack has to be something that's consistent that you can rely on over and over again. You can't rely on moments of magic. Like, that's why they're moments of magic, because they come out of nowhere and they are unpredictable. Like, that's not an attacking tactic. That's the icing on top of the cake afterwards. That's not your primary way to score goals. And you're right. I mean, we've heard Slot say that that's what he wants. He wants moments of magic and set pieces in the first half of games. And I'm sorry, but neither of those things are our forte right now. We're not doing either of those.
The lineups come out, and there were plenty of changes. Started off Bradley, Konate, Virgil, Robertson, Gravenberch, Jones in the middle, Frimpong, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and Hugo. I mean, were you surprised with any of that?
I was surprised that he risked both right backs, especially both coming back from injury. I think I'm also surprised. So Wolves, it felt like he made the choice to kind of go back almost to that 4-3-3, that the diamond was gone in Wolves. And I can understand trying that out against Wolves and trying to kind of get back to what you're known for. But it seemed like he did that again today, where he's like, I'm going to move away from the diamond and I'm going to try to go back to our 4-3-3. And this looks like the 4-3-3 that got us into so much trouble, to be honest. It looks toothless, and it looks, like, I don't know, it almost feels like I'm going back to like the Palace game in my head, where it was Wirtz's first time out on that left and he was completely ineffectual. We couldn't score for love nor money. And that's what this reminded me of. It reminded me of that kind of really toothless pathetic performance where, yes, we were defensively, we were able to kind of defend against Palace, who were, unlucky not to score 3 or 4 against us in that first half of the game. So yes, we defended, but we had no threat whatsoever on our own. And I guess I'm just kind of curious, do you feel like he's done with the diamond? He's done with that as sort of like the Band-Aid for the bullet wound, and now he's trying to go back to where he was, what he was initially trying to do for the season?
Don't know, because the first thing I noticed in the first minute compared to the Wolves game, the first difference that I saw was the Wolves game. Curtis Jones pulled out into the left all the time, and he lived on the left, linking up with Verts and Kirkes, creating triangles and overloads to draw the Wolves players out and try to create space to run in behind. And that was the obvious target, for someone to run in behind or to create space between the two centre backs or between the centre back and the wing back. Today, Jones didn't move from the middle of the park. He didn't come out onto the left, and Verts was isolated. The difference between Robertson and Kirk is Robertson will support the play, whereas Kirkes will look to run beyond. And that's both their strengths, by the way.
That's what you need if you're going to play Verts there. Like,
exactly.
And they're just starting this little fledgling relationship. Why are you chopping that off at the roots when, like, we talk all the time about green shoots somewhere? And I understand that Robertson needs to play. I think that there's enough time in that game for them to split 60-30. But for me, we're just starting to see little green shoots. And I joked before it was Ibu that was going around with his giant weed whacker. It feels like Slot's going around with a weed whacker now. And it's like, why are you taking that away? Why are you taking away Szoboszlai on the right where he's most effective? Why is he suddenly playing sort of in the space that Verts wants to play? Why are we congesting the left side of the field so much over there that they're stepping on each other's toes? Like, all the good things that we sort of have been building felt like they were gone today.
Yep. You went back to a very rigid 4-2-3-1 where there was no look. We'll get into the game. You had the first real incident was probably the penalty shout.
I mean, that was about 13 minutes in. You had Ekitike, he's desperate for a penalty. You had, I think it was it Goodmanson? Okay. That had 2 arms around Ekitike, and it was a prolonged hold. It started out of the box, but it was 2 arms around the midriff, and it continued into the box. And then you had Ekitike kind of stop, but stayed on his feet, and he did make a pass. And I think that that's, unfortunately, where in this world, if you don't go down, you're not getting that penalty. And that it's not correct to me. I think it's a penalty because it's a hold and that's it. It should be a penalty, but is he too honest? Do you want him to go down there? Do you want him to dive? I don't know. I think if he falls down, I think he gets the penalty. What about you?
100%. There's no referee going to give it. If he doesn't go down, there's no referee going to give it because he gets a shot off.
Yeah.
And if he goes down and he doesn't get it, he's a diver and he's labelled as a diver, and the British media will absolutely have a field day with him. And if he goes down and gets it, then, the Leeds fans are pissed off, but so what?
I mean, it's also Kavanagh, and it's 15 minutes into a game at Anfield. I don't know if he would have given it anyways.
I think the only way that's given is if he goes down. The only way that's given is if he goes down. He does not. He definitely doesn't.
But even if he did go down, like hypothetically, I don't know if it gets given. Just given the track record of referees at Anfield in the first half of games, they don't give penalties.
Well, the thing is, it's the only chance you have of getting a penalty in that situation. And he gets the shot off, gets the save. Credit to James Justin. Gets across, or he gets across. Oh no, that's is that one?
I think that was a different. That was a little.
That
bit
was
later.
A different one.
Yeah,
that was a bit later. Yeah, but the thing with the penalty is if you don't go down, you don't get it. And I kind of admire. I mean, he was so strong in getting into position and getting the shot off.
Ozkopik makes a good point. Like, because he's not playing for the ball there, And because he's the last man, there's an argument that could have been a red card if he goes down. I don't know if there was a covering defender. I'm going to have to look at that.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think there was.
It wouldn't make a blind bit of difference.
Because he's not playing for the ball there is an argument that you'd go down to 10 there. This to me is one of those things. I'm sure Ekitike is going to be shown that footage and show, go down there. Which is it's not something that I love training our players to do, but it's the world of today's football.
Yeah. Well, you have to do it. I mean, the only other real chance you're talking about then for the red, I'm going
to go back to the alley brain fart, because I think we need to talk about that. Because at 31 minutes, Allison does his level best to gift them a goal. And the heart palpitations that were going on in my chest when Ampadu got that ball in the middle of the field. I mean, for me, Allison, first of all, does not need to go with an outside of the boot pass there. And he has a habit of doing this. Right down the middle of the pitch, he has a habit of missing his target. It goes directly to an opponent. And there have been chances where we have conceded off of almost this exact same situation. Ampadu does well to get the shot off. I don't think he has time to take a touch. Allison's fortunate that he's able to get up over and save the ball. But, I love Allison. I really do. Yeah. But not at that moment, Kev.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, he traps the ball and the ball drops it. He traps it and it drops at his feet. He can't take a step back and hoof it. So I understand. And he does that with the outside of his foot. He just does it. The passes out for him, the lanes were blocked off. He gets it wrong. It should have gone higher. It should have gone high and out. But Ampadu should be scoring from there. He literally plays as Daniel Sturridge was in the studio at halftime with Mika Richards. And Sturridge said, look, he just went for the safe option. He just went, I'm going to get it on target and hope. He first times it. He gets it on target and hopes. If he takes that and side foots it to the corner and risks it going wide and him looking silly, I don't know if Allison gets that. And we're one down. And that was the nightmare scenario with the way the game played out, is if, God forbid, we went behind. I think he should have scored. A professional footballer with an empty net from that far out should be able to hit the corner. It's just a case of adjust your feet and back yourself. I'd expect someone to be trying to hit the corner from there. But look, you got away with one. But ultimately, look, that's all they really did in the first half.
There was a good kind of few moments of play right around 32 minutes that I want to highlight, because there wasn't really anything to highlight
that drove me nuts
in general. But it was a series of crosses. There was a Robertson cross, a Bradley cross, and then there was an Ekitike that was sort of like a cross/shot at that. It wasn't Ekitike that was a cross. It was Frimpong that crossed, and it was Ekitike who just mistimed a header, and I think he just headed it straight into their keeper. That was probably the most dangerous that we looked the entire game. Just that 2 minutes right there where we were actually crossing the ball. And my issue there was just that there was no one else in the box that was gambling. You had Ekitike actually kind of pulled back as a little bit more of a false nine for the first two crosses, and then he finally got there for Frimpong's cross. And I don't know if that was just an error. It came at him really, really quickly. I don't know if he could have controlled it, but that was really the opportunity. I think when you look back at the XG in this game, I think we're up past 1 point something. That I think is that 1 point whatever. Because that was as clear kind of a chance as we got in the entire match. And then it kind of poofed after that.
My biggest issue with the crosses, they were brilliant crosses. Robertson, if Robertson's playing from that side and you're asking him to play that deep, you have to predict or expect an early cross to come in, being whipped across the face of goal. And he delivered a few of them, and Hugo was nowhere near it. That's been my biggest problem with him as a striker, is those kind of crosses that you come into the box, you need your number 9 to be a number 9, and not a 9.5. You need someone who's going to anticipate that ball is going to come. It's also the most difficult thing, I think, for any striker playing in this side, because you don't, especially, I suppose, more so with Mo playing, but with Robertson and Frimpong, you should be expecting, with the strong foot on the left, the strong foot on the right, you should be anticipating and expecting crosses to come in. So the striker has to be front foot, looking to be in between the posts and making that run. And if he's anywhere near anticipates either cross, we score there. That's what you want your fullbacks to do. That's bread and butter for any player playing out wide. Is if the opportunity is there, you get the ball out of your feet and you whip it into an area, and you expect your forward players. And in fairness, your midfielders definitely, Jones probably, but you expect at least one of them to be able to make a run with your striker to get something on it, and it just wasn't there. There's nothing wrong with the output from Robertson or Frimpong in that respect. And the shot Frimpong has, when I first saw it, I thought, how did that happen? And then when I saw the second one, he couldn't get his head around the ball to head it in. It was almost a case like he headed it and hoped that it might be going on target, but he literally headed it straight across back to where it came from and just went out. But again, that's the sum total of 45 minutes of complete dominance on the ball. Complete dominance on the ball. It boiled down to a potential penalty shout. James Justin making a brilliant last-ditch tackle on Florian Wirtz, and a striker not getting there for crosses. And in a tight game, you need someone to be there to finish the chances you make. It's almost worse if you don't create chances in the first place. If you're not creating chances in the first place, then that's a real problem. That's a real issue. But if you're creating chances and your forward isn't there to take them, he needs to improve massively on that for me. If it's not his game, it needs to become his game, because that's literally how Arne Slot looks like he wants to score goals. Get the ball wide, get it in to the byline, look for cutbacks, and if that's not on, you're looking for Florian Wirtz or whoever's playing on the left to chop back onto their right foot, put balls across the box or put crosses into the far post. And they have to work on his anticipation, and the players have to be talking to each other. It's like it's going to take time to become telepathic. But
we've only really done the crossing thing though for the last 2 games though. Like, we really haven't been putting in crosses from the byline. This is brand new. Like, it is a problem. It was a problem. It was a problem before. Yeah. I'm glad we're doing it, but it's like, I understand why Ekitike is not anticipating it, because we haven't been doing that for 2 months. And all of a sudden you're seeing it with, now that you have Frimpong's pace and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, it's still Leeds at the end of the day, and you're still talking about drawing with them twice in the space of 30 days. They're a newly promoted team. Yes, they are 6 unbeaten. They are on a little bit of a run right now, but nothing that they did was surprising. Nothing that they did was particularly cutthroat. Like, the fact that we didn't get penalized at the very end of the game by Dominic Calvert-Lewin was the only surprising thing really about the entire game. For me, this is just, it's run-of-the-mill, low block stuff that Arne Slot just doesn't seem to have the ability to crack. And I'm kind of lost for patience here with, him having problems with that. That is how 85% of this league is going to set up against Liverpool. And if you can't figure out how to beat those teams, you can't be the coach of Liverpool. Like, yeah. That's the end of the story. Like, you either know how to do it or you don't. And for me, this is just, it comes back to that banging the head against the wall thing. And it's been a couple weeks since I've said that. So it was nice to sort of depart, but we're kind of back there. We're kind of back to like where's the chance creation coming from? Where's the creativity coming from?
Chris makes a point here. Look, Chris is in the chat and he was at the game. So frustrated and fed up with the game. A lot of this is tactics and the manager asking the way the manager is asking the side to play. And he goes on 90 quid to watch a side not wanting to be adventurous and attacking versus a relegation side is unacceptable. And I completely get where he's coming from. It's okay to play that way when you win. It's okay to be really rock solid defensively and maintain possession and keep the ball if you win 1-0 or you win 2-0. That you'll slide along with that for a while. But when you come up against a side like Leeds, who played 5-4-1 for virtually all of that game, if not all of it, who we couldn't move. There wasn't enough movement in our players to be able to move that back five around. There's not many ways to score against it apart from get the ball wide, get crosses into the box, shots from distance, quick 1-2s around the box, or set pieces. And
you need to create with
all of
you
it was
need to
ineffective.
use I mean, can you throw those two stats up for me, Kev? Because I don't have control here. Because this is from Michael Reed, and I think it's important to highlight this. So in the home games this season against Forest, Sunderland, Wolves, and Leeds, Liverpool have generated 4 big chances in total. 1 per game. That's 77 shots, 6.9 XG from an average possession of 69.4% in those games. And we are creating 1 chance per game against bottom of the table sides. That's not good enough.
No.
That to me is he does not know how to tactically break down these teams. It's not the players here. Like, the players are following instructions. This is not good enough.
No. 100%. I mean, Chris made the point that's, 3 points? Again, 3 points
against the newly promoted teams.
Against the newly promoted teams. That's piss poor. And those stats are absolutely damning. You spent the money on Florian Wirtz to bring him in to help to unlock sides like this. And look, he doesn't escape criticism today. He was poor.
No, he was poor. He looked way off of it. He looked like he needed to have the whole day off, just not play and rest him for Fulham, because he had an extra day off this week. Apparently he's been struggling.
Yeah. But I think he wasn't set up by the system.
Well, he wasn't. And that's where kind of the Szoboszlai pulling into that space also kind of confused me, where it was like, you're not playing him with Kirkez, so he doesn't have that link-up play. You're all of a sudden bringing Szoboszlai into his space, so he doesn't have the ability to do that. You don't have Jones acting the same way that he did before. So you're throwing off all the things that you just started to see Florian Wirtz shine. Why would you then change it?
Yeah, and in fairness, he's hopefully some of the local press are going to have to come out and really question him severely on this, because
we'll get to the quotes at the end.
Yeah, because there wasn't a press conference as such for this game. After the Wolves game, after the press conference at the Wolves game, they done the pre-record of the press conference, which is, look, it just means that on the back of a win against Wolves, you're not going to be questioned on anything. So the next 2 games now are away. The next 2 games back-to-back in London, Fulham and Arsenal. And whatever about Fulham, because Fulham probably won't play much different to what Leeds did. They'll carry a bit more of an attacking threat at home, but Arsenal will look to dominate the ball, and I think we'll find it a bit easier to be able to play against an Arsenal and we'll probably create more chances against a side like Arsenal, who'll give you space to play in, rather than a lead space to play in, and you have to maneuver it yourself, because the tactical setup of the side was just so risk averse that the movement around the edge of the box was so bad. And Hugo was dropping out into the wing. He was dropping in deep, looking to try to get involved and get on the ball. And he had a couple of flashes where he took players on and what have you. And that's all well and good. But you need your 9 to be a 9 in these games, but also to service into him. When you get crosses that are coming into the box, you have to be there to try to be on the end of it. The other elephant in the room is the set pieces. Defended them brilliantly. Defended the set pieces really, really well. Defended their long throws really well. Has to be said, Leeds' real strength is from set pieces and from the long throw-ins. So we attacked the first ball really well and attacked the second ball really well. I think both phases of play defensively was really good. In an attacking sense, it was abysmal.
Yeah.
Nothing short of. We had one chance in the second half. Virgil managed to get himself free. And if you can score from a header that far out, then it'll be goal of the day because it just doesn't happen very often. And he heads it down, heads it into the ground, and it's slightly off target. And it's not far off. It's not far off. But ultimately, out of all of the corners that we had today, that was the one. That was the only time I think that we won the first contact.
Yeah, we hit the first man several times.
Yeah, the delivery was poor, and when they got the delivery right, look, you're playing against the side with three big centre backs, and whose aerial strength is in the air. Leeds are physically a very big side, so it's no surprise that when you try to score direct from a corner, it's going to be very difficult to get first contact. So,
I mean, why are we trying to do it like that? Then is the question.
I was going to say, I liked it at the start of the second half where we went and took two short corners.
Exactly.
I like that. And fine, it didn't work, but it's different. I like the fact that you're trying something. I don't care if it doesn't work, because what you're doing doesn't fucking work. So try something different. Go short if you need to. If you need to pull players out, then try it. Try going for short corners.
Use Frimpong's pace to kind of get around a player, get him into the box. Put it into an area, that area of uncertainty that we always talk about, and then ask questions of their keeper who loves to parry the ball. We didn't do that once. There were 4 shots on target for the whole game. I'm shocked. And just for the record, that's Leeds' first clean sheet in 16 games. Yeah. They're not a defensive masterclass of a team. We just made them look really, really good. And even if you go back 26 days, we scored 3 against them. What has changed between now and then, outside of, obviously putting the leash on the players to kind of make sure we don't concede 3 goals, but the attacking thrust should still be there. The same players are there.
Well, the stats that have you believe that we had 19 shots. I, for the life of me, do not remember 19 shots.
I mean, shots.
Yeah,
they go wide. They go kind of they could go anywhere.
It's a very loose term.
It literally could have. I mean, Frimpong's cross could have been deemed a shot. I'm not 100% sure. But we're talking about a newly promoted side, and we're struggling to talk about highlights. Outside of
that's it. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of what happened. It was.
I mean, you saw at the end of the game him throwing on kind of everything that we had on our bench, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I think we need to talk about what we have at our disposal. And we talked a little bit about Ekitike, his role in the box. We threw on Gakpo, we threw on Chiesa, we threw on Rio. We still had Ekitike on the pitch at the time.
Yeah.
And we still didn't get any closer to their goal.
Okay.
We weren't any more. I mean, I think that Rio deserves some praise because I think that he asked a few questions of their defenders. I think he dribbled and brought the ball into the box in a way that at least, had a little bit of cut and thrust to it, because we didn't see that at all. But for me, we do not have enough wide options or attacking options to answer these questions. And I'm looking at City pulling Semenyo. I cannot for the life of me make an argument for why anyone in our kind of Liverpool world would look at Semenyo and say we don't need him, because we absolutely need a player like him. So unless they have someone lined up that is as good as Semenyo, I don't know what the fuck is going on in the boardroom, because we need more wide, pacey players that actually have some goal contribution at the end of it. Chiesa's not the answer. I'm sorry. He's not. For everyone that's out there that loves Chiesa, I like him too as sort of just a bit part player, but he's not the answer to our questions. Neither is Rio, to be completely fair to him. It's not fair on him to ask him to be the answer to our questions. Gakpo looks like he suddenly is playing from the championship. I don't know what has happened to him. Obviously, he's been injured a little bit, but we see with Gakpo in the past, when he comes back from injury, sometimes he takes months to get going. We don't have months. We don't have Mo Salah. We don't have Isak. We can't just pin all of our hopes on Ekitike scoring goals.
Well, what I cannot for the life of me understand. Look, he made the 3 changes. He made on 66, brought on Kirk, brought on McAllister, brought on Gakpo. The next change on, and Szoboszlai drops a right back. Fine. Context of the game, 10 minutes to go. You want to try and go and win it at this stage. Get it. That's fine. What I don't understand is you throw Rio on. No problem with Rio coming on, by the way. I think he should have come on earlier. But you bring Rio on and you stick him out in the left wing. You leave Cody Gakpo out in the left wing. You put Hugo in the middle and you put Chiesa on the right. Why on earth are you playing with 2 left wingers, a striker, and the guy playing out on the right, and Szoboszlai tucked in as a midfielder?
We had no width on the right side at all. Everyone was smushed over to the left side.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Chiesa in this because there is absolutely no support for when he's on the ball. He tries to make something happen, and the guy it just bounces off a player, or it just goes out of play, or everything he tries it just doesn't work. But if you're going, you have to go to a 4-4-2. Gakpo has to become a 9. He has to play as a striker, as a second striker. Otherwise, don't do it. You're wasting your time because all you're doing is you're taking a place away from a player in midfield. And a better side than Leeds would have got their foot on the ball, found the space, and played into it.
I'm actually terrified of playing Arsenal because I think that that's what they'll do. If we set up like this against Arsenal, for me, I don't have any confidence in this team at this point in time to handle that Arsenal team. And that's a really sad state of affairs. And maybe we'll just shut up shop and have 0 attempts on target and just call it a day and say it's a win if we can pull off a draw against them. But like, if that's where we are, that's not good enough.
No.
That's just not good enough. And I don't see it's the same kind of rhetoric for the whole season. I don't see what the plan is. I don't see where we're going. Like, everything that's good, you're all of a sudden changing. Why? Like, why are you doing this? What is the purpose behind it?
I just don't understand what Arne Slot saw in this game to say, Rio, go on the left wing and hug the sideline. Kirkes will support you. You saw the reason why everyone hates Cody Gakpo playing with Kirkes, because he was completely ignored every single run he made. At least when Rio came on, he looked to go both ways against the fullback. He looks competent and confident enough to take a fullback on the inside and on the outside. He's got really quick feet, and there is absolutely no reason whatsoever why he isn't involved more. I don't care how old he is. He's 17 years of age. There are players out there who play in the Championship, in Europe, at 17 years of age, starting week in, week out. Don't care. He's good enough to play in this side. And if you want someone on that side who can take fullbacks on and make something happen, he's your man. Because there is nobody else better than what he. There's nobody else in that side for me that with the ball at his feet can stand up a fullback and take him on. Inside, outside.
You're saying that, and I appreciate that as a 17-year-old. I really do. But this is not. We're not Coventry. They're flying down in the Championship. We're not them though. Like, we could have had Ben Doak on our side doing the same thing. There's still no end product from him. He's 17 years old. He's 17 years old though. Like,
so
he's not our answer. The fact that we're depending on a 17-year-old to answer our questions, to me, is team mismanagement, and it's negligence of the highest order to not have someone on that side to call upon. I don't care if you want to make the Luis Diaz argument, whatever. I know a lot of people miss him, but we needed someone to replace the role that he plays, and it's not Rio. Like, he can come on, he can be that, really exciting little bit of flair that we can throw on when we actually have games won. We can't even get games won. So therefore, having Rio is a luxury that we cannot afford. We need to actually have someone that's going to do the business game in and game out. I don't,
unless they're going to go and sign someone, he has to play. He has to play because he's better than the alternatives. And what's the worst that can happen? He gets 6 months worth of experience. That's the worst case scenario. Because as it stands at the minute, there is zero end product in goals and assists directly coming from the left wing. And you can't include...
It's because we're not playing a left winger, full stop. Like, the person that we're playing left wing is drifting into the 10, or used to be able to drift into the 10, and now we've kind of blocked that for some reason. And Gakpo has decided to just fall off a cliff. So we don't have a left winger.
Well, this is it. So if you're stuck in a choice between... if you want Florian Wirtz to play on the left, and I do. I actually do. I think that position is his best position at the moment, because you put him in centrally in the 10, he gets crowded out of it. He likes the ball at his feet. He likes to be able to turn and run at players. And he's better at that. And that's fine. But if you're going to play him there, you have to play players around him who can support him, not get in his way. The link up that he showed against Wolves with Curtis Jones and Milos Kerkez was exactly what you want to get the best out of all three of them, to be honest. But if you're going to play him and you're not going to give him the support that he needs, you're relying on Flo to do the magic. And if you want that to happen, fine, give him an hour. Give him 65 minutes. Rio be the first change. Let Rio come on in 65, 70 minutes, 20 minutes to go against a tiring fullback and say, I'm going to have you on toast. And
how many times, though, have we said that Slot has made changes too early and that there's a full 30 minutes left to go, and putting someone like a Rio on isn't the right call because he doesn't have any defensive work rate going back?
Well, the thing is, the changes that he made on 66 minutes, Cody Gakpo, Alexis McAllister, and Kerkez. I don't mind McAllister coming on in a deeper role. That's fine. And Kerkez for Robertson, fine, no problem. But for the sake of, what was it, 18 minutes? There's a good argument to put Rio on first, especially after today. Let him have his head, because the one thing with youth is they play with zero fear. They play with absolutely no fear, because I'm telling you, he'll get to next season and his head is going to start to get turned if he isn't starting to play minutes. You know, and he'll look at the likes of Esteval, and he'll look at the likes, and I hope he's looking at what Yamin Lamal is doing at Barcelona and say, why, I can do that. I can do that for this Liverpool side. He won't let me try. So if he won't let me try, I'll go somewhere that wants me.
I mean, he's already done that once, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. I mean, the sad part is that he decided to come because we showed a pathway for the youth, and then we decided to take that away. I mean, it's important to caveat that he's a year and a half younger than Esteval. Yeah. Like, he definitely isn't at the point that he's ready to play from the start. I understand what you're saying in terms of if you can support around him, it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I think...
Well, the other side of it is January window's open.
That's the thing. I think we need to really kind of talk about, like...
We have glaring issues.
Legitimately, can this team get top four?
Yes.
Can it?
Yes. I have no doubt.
That playing like this, you think that we're going to be okay?
Yeah, I think playing like this will be fine. The reason why I say so is, look, we're sat on a +4 goal difference at the minute. We have a 3-point cushion to Chelsea and Manchester United. Now, you go further down, Sunderland, Everton at 29-28. So we can get top four, being defensively sound, and as long as you don't lose that many games, you'll pick up enough points to get top four playing like this. All right, because we will still win games. I have no doubt about that. So if that's the object and that's the target, you'll get there playing like this. It's not exciting. It's not nice to watch. It's nerve jangling shite, because if they get one throw in right, we lose. That's where this type of football lands you. That if an opposing side gets a set piece right, you've left yourself a mountain to climb, because you're not giving yourself enough chances to score one, let alone two. So, as frustrating as it is, this is the kind of football that will get you into the top four.
Top five isn't secure right now. Like, there's still a possibility that there are certain... I think Poland currently has the highest coefficient, but they're going to drop out anyways. But likelihood is that it would get top five. But
I think the way it works, it depends on how many English clubs go deep in the Champions
Yeah.
League, and if
We're currently
the
second behind Poland, and then I think it's Germany, and then Italy after that. I think that's the last time I
think
checked.
a lot of it might come down to how the sides that are in the Europa League and in the Conference League do as well. The further they all go, the better it is for it being top 5. And look, I think top 4 is achievable even with this current squad.
I mean, you're talking about a team that can't even beat a relegation side.
I get that.
You know, or can barely beat a Wolves side that has 3 points now. You know, we're scraping by against that Wolves side, and if we do get top 4, it's because the rest of the teams are garbage. It's not because we deserve top 4. For being completely honest.
No, I think look, we're halfway. We're on 33 points. I think we'll get 70. I think we'll break 70, and the reason why I think we'll break 70 is the more the sides play together, the better they will get. You know, there's too many good players in this. I mean, that 11 today is littered with good players. There's too many good players in there for over the course of a season for them not to be able to pick up wins. So I think we'll definitely break 70, and that will be enough to get into the top 4. But going forward, there's a massive job on. There really fucking is, because sorry, I got told off for swearing during the transfer show. So somebody in the comments after says I swear too much.
Oh, well, they haven't heard me very often.
It's just as well we didn't. It's just as well we didn't lose today. But no, I think look, the January when we were the reason I brought up the transfer show is because I said it during the transfer show, and I've said this for years. You get 2 opportunities a year to improve your squad, and January is a window that this club doesn't have the luxury of affording. We don't have. I think it's arrogance in the extreme for any football club to turn around and say this squad XYZ is good enough to go for the entire season. We don't need anybody in January. I think it's the absolute height of arrogance if the club turn around in January and say, yep, this squad is good enough. We've got enough quality. We've got enough players coming back that we can challenge on 4 fronts at the club at the moment. We truly cannot.
Absolutely not. I'd be surprised if he doesn't throw the FA Cup. I would actually be surprised at this point, because I don't know who you put out. Because we don't really have a second string. My argument with this whole kind of window, and let's say that for argument's sake, FSG feel the way that you do, and that they think that we're going to comfortably get top 4. Cool. If that's the case, cool. Let's establish that. But if we look at our team, we still need depth in our team. So regardless if we get top 4 or not, or even if we were in second place, we'd still need depth in our team. And we need to be able to start doing that now, because newsflash, it's a World Cup summer. So the idea of implementing new tactics and bringing new players in the summer is not going to happen. And especially if you have a new coach coming in as well, which we don't know, it's a very real possibility. Why wouldn't you use this as a chance, a window to bring those players in and bed them in? Use this as a write-off season. I don't care. If that's what you're going to do, use the next 4-5 months on the pitch to bed these new players in so that we don't have a replica of this season next year. Because we need like 6 new players. So if you're going to bring in 6 new players over this next summer, we're going to see this whole transition season all over again. So bring in 2 of them now. Bed them in. Make it less of a jarring situation in the summer. We have the opportunity. We are in a financially good place to do so. We're not tied by, FFP or something like that. Like, this is a choice that they are making to either go into the market or not. And maybe they go in for Ordonez. Maybe they go in for Guehi. Semenyo looks like he's completely off the table. That's fine. Whatever. But at the same time, I can't get behind sitting and doing nothing, because that's how we got here in the first place. We got here because there were too many windows where we sat on our hands, sat still. The rest of the squads got bigger and stronger and deeper. And we were like, you know what? It'll be fine. We're going to do it in the summer. We can't. Like, our squad is so fucking thin.
Bad, they'll come for you.
Whatever. Fine. I threw it in there just to see off of you. But seriously.
You're 100% right. I mean, look, it was unfortunate what happened with Leone. It genuinely was. But that can happen to any player during a season, in any position. It's unfortunate that it happened to a young guy who was just on the back of one game, had the hopes were
I know.
really
He
high
looked
for it.
good too.
Yeah, he did. But when you take that gamble, and Joe Gomez is your third choice centre back, and it goes sideways like it has.
I have no sympathy for you if that's your choice, because every single person on the planet knows that Joe Gomez is not reliable.
Yeah. No, and as much as, and I do love Joe Gomez,
too,
the
but
longest serving player.
He's the fifth center back. If you're gonna have Joe Gomez, he's the fifth guy. He's the James Milner that does the right back role. I don't even think he would have played as a center back if we had gotten Guehi. And
exactly. Oh no, he would not. No, not a hope. So and the fact that we went for a centre back and didn't get him in the summer screams that Joel Ordonez should be done very soon, very early. One deal that it looks like is going to happen is Brennan Johnson to Crystal Palace, 35 million. Medical is he's supposed to go have his first part of his medical on Thursday after agreeing a deal with Palace worth 35 million pounds. And Villa signed 10.5 million winger Allison from Gremio. Initial agreement to buy the 19-year-old, subject to medical, additional 8.7 million with a further 1.8 in performance related. Plays a left-footed winger who plays on the right, which screams to me either Daniel Mallon could be on his way, or the Harvey Elliott back to Liverpool looks almost.
I mean, if they have the money to sign him, they have the money to terminate with Elliott. So, I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's not a problem.
Can I just throw in a really random thing that I just saw? Has anyone seen that the Premier League have banned knee slides as celebrations and that they're now going to be yellow card offenses?
Excuse me, the what now? Say what?
That's what they're saying on Twitter. I will confirm afterwards, but
could you imagine?
I need to do a little bit of digging here. I want to make sure that I'm not getting punked because this.
I really want that to be true. I really want that to be true, just for the.
I don't know if it's true or not because I'm not sure.
That's hilarious, but
I hope it's fake because there's a few people that are sending this to me. I really hope this is fake because honestly, if it is real, that would be dumb.
Yeah, my biggest fear at the minute, I think Mark Guehi goes to Man City, and I think Nathan Ake goes to Bournemouth. So I think Mark Guehi goes to Man City to replace Nathan Ake. So we need to be active for me this window, at least with a centre back, definitely a striker, and I mean a striker, a proper 9.
We're not going to striker.
No, I don't care what FSG think we should do. I think we should be signing a striker because Hugo is not that guy. He might develop into that guy in time. He's not that guy now, and we need I think if you play a striker and him off of a striker, or him with a striker, and he's a partner with a 9, I think you'll get the best out of him. I 100% believe that with my heart. I honestly think if you play Hugo Ekitike as a second striker, he will do damage to this league. He will end up close to 20 goals. But as he stands as a lone striker, in the way we're playing and how slow we're playing, we're definitely not helping this guy's case. We really aren't. And I'm just going to be sick if we get to the end of January and good players have moved and we're sat there looking at the window going, God, I wish we did this, I wish we did that. Because I know I've got a sickening feeling in the pit of my stomach if we do nothing. Come mid-February, someone's going to pick a knock that takes him out for 6 weeks and we're in trouble.
But why are we taking that gamble? If that's the case, like again, just hypothetically, why would we take that gamble? Like, even if you were, let's say that I'm playing devil's advocate. Let's say They have a plan to bring in a new coach in the summer, and they want to make sure that they have as much money in the bank for the new coach to be able to buy the exact players that they need to buy. They're still going to need a center back anyways. Like, you can't tell me that bringing in Guehi now, that whoever comes in wouldn't appreciate having Guehi. And even if he's not going to be your starting center back, we're still going to need another one. So you could bring in another one. So the argument just doesn't hold water with me. And the same thing with the winger. It's like, even if you bring in a winger now that can play both sides, like Ismenia, we're still going to need another winger when Mo Salah leaves.
Right. And just come to this one a sec. Adi always makes a point. Why would they come to Liverpool now, Kev? Slot is uninspiring. Yeah, he is. Arne Slot is playing a brand of football that
we're all being put to sleep with.
Attractive. But for the same reason as Chelsea will have a list as long as your arms for managers to come to their club, Liverpool Football Club are the biggest club in the Premier League, one of the biggest clubs in the world. The idea that a player wouldn't come to Liverpool because they don't like the brand of football that the manager is playing is for the birds. Don't kid yourself on. If Liverpool want a player and the player wants to move, the deal will happen. I've no doubt in my mind that FSG, after spending the bones of 445 million, irrespective of how much we recouped, after spending that amount of money, are going to gamble with their investment and risk not getting into the Champions League on the strength of bringing forward a couple of deals that they were going to do anyway. If they do, and I don't believe for a second that they would, and we don't get Champions League football, it's their issue. They're the ones that are 100%.
It's not an issue. It's a calamity. Like, you cannot have Isak and Frimpong and players on the, like, we would see a massive clear out. We would see Virgil out the door. We'd see Mo out the door. We would not have the wage ability to not be in Europe. We wouldn't be able to, not right now, not with the way that it's structured at the moment, even for a year. Like, I think that if we were out of Europe, I think that you would see Virgil and Mo Salah leave. I don't know. That's just me. And I don't know if you're frozen or if I'm frozen. Okay.
Oh, no, you're right. I'm still here. I was just reading something.
No, I just want to make sure. Speaking of reading stuff, do you want to go through quotes and stuff?
Please.
All right. Let me pull 100%. Those up while you...
yeah, I'll just have a quick look
there. All right. So I've got... Let's see. I've got Jeremy Frimpong talking first. So as I'm going to read through these, we'll think about your man of the match. Honorable mention could do better because we'll come to those next because, yeah, you know.
Oh,
we're going to try. So Jeremy Frimpong starts. It's frustrating. We wanted to win the game. They defended really well. At the end of the day, 0-0, very frustrating, but on to the next game. He said, obviously we tried, but we didn't try hard enough. We had a couple. I had a couple. I think I could have delivered the ball better. He said, it's about training and recovering. We know what we can do. We've created a lot of chances. We need to go into the next game and do what we need to do, but better. We know what we should do. We know the movements and we know the patterns. Let's touch on this after, because I think that this is something that's actually really interesting. Arne Slot is then the next person that comes out. He says, you would like to start the new year with a win, but it was difficult. I don't think we were able to play many times through their low block. When we did, we didn't have enough bodies in front of goal, and other times we were unfortunate. He continues, if you look at football, then you see two ways of unlocking a low block. You need pace, and you need to be quick and dominate your one-on-one situations, or you need a set piece. We were so close with a set piece through Virgil and a few times with Jeremy on one-on-ones. He continues on whether Hugo Ekitike should have won a penalty in the first half. He says, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that one of my players stays on their feet. It happened against West Ham that Lucas Paqueta should have gotten a second yellow, but one of my players stayed on his feet. It's just a team who we are unfortunately not recognized. I saw Leeds players going down in the second half. The question is, should we change or not? I don't think we should. If he goes down, it probably would have been a red card and a penalty, and that would have increased our chances of winning. On changes, he said, I'm not sure we will do it again for the next game. If you look at the bench, there were 4 players that are 19 years old or younger, and a few that have never played in the Premier League. This is what we have to accept and manage. Again, let's talk about that after. Mm-hmm. And then he goes on and says, not the first time this season, from all of the ball possession we have, we do not generate chances. But I don't think it's enough, or maybe it should be enough if you look at the XG, but we should be able to create more. And then finally, Daniel Fark comes out and says, it was the reigning champions back in their top shape. Also, you could feel the New Year's Day special atmosphere in the stadium. They were on it, and we needed to show lots of resilience, stubborn and structured. I'm glad you feel that way, Fark, because watching that was not the reigning champions in their top shape.
And I don't know what atmosphere he's talking about. In fairness, the one thing I'll say, the Leeds fans could be heard.
Yes, they could.
There was the traveling Leeds fans were very good. A
lot of that. Yeah. All right.
That to me is a lot of manager gobbledygook speak. For I go back to what you wanted to talk about.
I wanted to talk about Frimpong because when he says we know what we should do, we know the movements and we know the patterns, that is what it looks like watching them play, that they are playing via patterns. They are playing via choreography rather than playing by instinct, rather than, seeing what's actually on the pitch. They are following some sort of tactical playbook, but to the point where there is no fluidity or creativity. It is just, it feels very copy and paste to me. And I was saying that to you guys on our on our private WhatsApp chat while we were going through the game. And that's where it feels like, you're trying to construct this goal where it's like, if person A passes to person B and then person C moves here, and they're doing that. And I don't mind that as sort of a foundation to build on, but with the opportunity to then kind of riff off of it and have some creative kind of outlet or creative freedom there. And for me, it feels very, this is from the tactics board. This is how we're supposed to beat a low block. And, if we don't do it this way, then you're going to get hooked or something along those lines where, I'm used to someone seizing the game by the neck and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this moment of magic. I don't know who that person is anymore. I don't know if we have that person.
It's like watching, it's like being a kid and you get the coloring book and it's got the numbers on. And you just color by numbers. And unfortunately, look, this isn't just a Liverpool thing. This is the reason why the Premier League is so dross at the minute this season. It's so awful to watch as a product. It's paint by numbers football. And it started with the academies going back over probably the last 10 years. And you're seeing the results of it now, where academies played football in a certain way, in a certain style. And this was across the board. And they produced technically good footballers, but they coached the living daylights out of them. And you don't have that many instinctive footballers. So when you do see one, like a Rio, they stick out like a sore thumb, where a Lim Yamal, where they just get their foot in the ball, and Kvaratskhelia is another one, where they just get their foot in the ball and they make something happen. And they have an inventiveness and a brightness about them, but they're rare. And football never was that. Football was, you'd always have mavericks in the game. We do have maverick footballers.
There is.
They're not allowed to play that. They're not allowed to play that way.
Red Med 10 puts in there that we're a straight jacket team, and I think that you're putting your mavericks in straight jackets, and I think that's a really good shout. I mean. There's no point in having them if you're going to put them in a straight jacket, and we've seen it with Pep. Pep has done this with Grealish. I don't want to see that happen with a Wirtz, for example. I don't know if he is a system player. Like
Pep Guardiola is Captain Marvel when it comes to color by numbers football.
I feel like he's released that a little bit this year, and maybe that's Pep Linder's influence.
No, it's just because of Haaland. But the way he built sides, the way he played with Barcelona, with Bayern Munich, with Man City, all the way through his career, was a certain way of tiki-taka football that relied on individual brilliance. And at Barcelona, you had Messi. At Bayern Munich, you had Thiago Alcantara, and you had Robin and Ribery. You had Lewandowski. You come to Man City and you look at the available talent of what he had, but he's very much construct and pin sides in and tiki-taka football, and play your way into situations. He's had to evolve the way he plays because of Haaland. But most people play this way, and it's to the detriment of the league, in my opinion. But we're no different. We try to build, and you said it yourself in our chat earlier, that we're trying to score the perfect goal. We're trying to create the best chance possible to make sure that we score, rather than take a 50-50 effort and maybe something happens. I can't remember the last time that we scored off a ricochet or a bounce
or
off,
something that
you know
felt
what I mean?
off the cuff. Like, we don't have things that feel off the cuff.
You have Dominic Szoboszlai the starter today in the 10, who's one of his main strengths is shots from outside the box. He had one effort from outside the box to force a save from the keeper and another one that went wide. And it never looked like we were trying to create situations for him to be able to get into a position to have shots. And that's a serious strength that you have at your disposal. And we never looked like we had. I mean, if Jeremy Frimpong is talking about patterns of play, the patterns of play that Jeremy Frimpong was trying to create was Conor Bradley making runs on the inside, him trying to get to the byline to look for cutbacks, or moving it around to the opposite side to try the same thing from the left. That's the patterns of play. And if you're disciplined like Leeds and you play a solid 5-4-1 and you don't move out of your station, we are very easy to play against.
Well, and that's what we look like. We look predictable. We look so incredibly predictable. And if you're playing off a playbook, it must be incredibly. It's not easy is not the right word, but it must be much more manageable from an opposition point to say, oh, like, okay, well, they're going to play off of these, however many plays. That's how we're going to defend. Like, we know how to defend because we know exactly what's coming, instead of having that little bit of rogue attitude. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've come such a long way from, and I said at the top of the show, the Liverpool that we kind of know and love, which was very much off the cuff. It was fast, and it was sometimes out of control.
Aggressive.
It was impressive. It was aggressive. And part of what made it so good is that it was like you were letting go of the steering wheel while you were driving at 70 miles per hour, or however many kilometers per hour it is that would be going over the speed limit over there. You had to let go of the steering wheel a little bit to let that happen. And like, if you look at any sort of sports moment or moments of brilliance or magic or things like that, they usually don't come from control. They come from the time that you let the control go. And I guess for a team that has been so incredibly mentally fragile, maybe that seems like not a great idea. I don't know. Maybe that's where Slot's coming from.
And do you know what? And I wonder how much of that is in the back of his head.
I mean, that's the only argument that I can give, where it's like he basically has put the training wheels back onto the team because he knows that they need them, I guess. That they can't be trusted to go rogue. They haven't shown it. They haven't shown the ability to be able to go onto a pitch with a truly offensive game plan and be able to execute. They haven't. So even when Slot puts something together that is very offensively oriented, we look like garbage going back. So maybe there's a little bit of that as well. Maybe, I don't know. But before we go, because we are going past the hour mark and I'm going to get in trouble again for doing that. Let's talk about those players that you want to highlight, players that did well, didn't do well. Let's start with your man of the match performance.
Yeah. I just wanted to quickly check something there for a sec. Man of the match, bearing in mind it's really low hanging fruit, for me it was Konate.
He didn't get a yellow card, which means he's not banned, which is great.
Exactly. That aside, and that was the one thing as well. You get to at the end of the 19th league game, it almost resets. It now goes to 10 bookings. So he's off the radar for that. But no, won every defensive header. Passing was good. He was safe. It was a good, solid defensive performance from him. It was exactly what you needed. But like I said, because there was so little to talk about from an attacking sense, you look at it, your man of the match, being one of our defenders because, like it or not, we were defensively very solid, and I've really happy with it with the way he managed today. It would have been easy for him to get drawn into Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he came on and get nervous around him and stuff like that. So out of all of them, he had a good game. Virgil didn't have a bad game. Honourable mention, Frimpong for his first half. So he was a constant threat, good outlet, raw speed to go past the fullback or to take his fullback on and go past him on the outside. Not afraid to check back and look at trying to get something off on his left foot either. But he was a constant threat for probably the first 45, even up until the changes. When he went back into fullback, he was fine. The defensive work that he was asked to do, he was okay. But could do better.
You can pick. There's so
I'm not
many.
I'm not going after the players. It's the manager. The manager needs to really sort his shit out because he's managing his way out of a job at the minute.
What did you think of those comments? Those comments about how the rest of his bench was 19 or under or had never played a Premier League, and that we'd just have to manage that.
Well, then go and work. You know what I mean? Go and talk to someone who's like Chris, paying 90 quid to go and watch that and complain about your job being hard. Don't fucking talk to me about having a hard job. You know, he's got tools at his disposal. It's just his style of play, his way of playing, his method of trying to rebuild this side into a Pep Guardiola-like possession-based, possession at all costs side is to the detriment of some of the key players that we have at the club. And unless he figures out the balance between attack and defence, then he won't be there next season. He's in real trouble. I mean, and you go back to the run of games that we're on at the minute. Yeah, we haven't lost in 8 now, which is fine.
There's too many draws in there, and every single game it's like hanging on.
Well, every single game we're not looking like a side who've turned the corner. We're still looking like a side who've put the indicator on at the roundabout, deciding which way
we're in that
when are we going to push our way out?
Going around. We haven't actually decided which exit to take.
Exactly, and I don't like this idea of turning around and saying I've got 4 19-year-olds on the bench. Well, apart from Lucky, which I don't think is good enough anyway, Rio is perfectly good enough. Trey Neone looks like there's a player in there, but he wasn't the one for today. You know, he wasn't that player for today. Who else was there? You know, I mean, the changes you made, you brought on a Dutch international, Hungarian international, Scottish who else did you bring on? Brought on Cody,
Kirkes,
Chiesa, who the Italians are desperate to bring him to get him back to Italy so they can play him.
So he can actually get some time on a pitch before the World Cup.
Exactly. It's like the changes that he made are first team players. And you know, that's the tools you got to do your job, man. If this is a signal to Richard Hughes to say, look, I need more help here. If he's talking about I need pace to break down a low block side, nonsense. Absolute drivel. Man City don't have pace. They find ways.
I would argue that they have pace.
They don't have real pace. They have Jeremy Doku is a pace merchant.
Semenyo is going to be a pace merchant.
He's more.
I know, but it's part of what makes him great.
Look at the likes of, but I still look at the likes of Foden, Cherki, Bernardo Silva. These players are footballers first and foremost. You know, they're technically skillful players. You know, there's more ways to skin a cat than wingers getting the ball out from their feet and running out of fullback.
But but the thing with City is that they don't just have one way of doing it. So yes, there's more ways to skin a cat. And yes, you can sometimes have all of those kind of techie players in the middle of the pitch. But if that's not working, there's a plan B. We don't have a plan B.
Exactly.
Like we don't have the option to switch it up. So yes, we can look at Pep Guardiola with admiration and say, yes, that, you know, from Slot's perspective, maybe that's the kind of coach he wants to be. But at this point in time, all you have is sort of one version of Pep Guardiola's like attack, if you want to call it that. You don't have his versatility, and you don't have the same number of players. You don't have the same quality of players. I'm sorry. I love Ekitike, and I love the idea of him becoming a fantastic player. You can't compare him to what Haaland does. I love, having...
They're different
players, but still, like... Yeah. You can't look at the output that they have at the front end of the pitch and compare it to what we have at the moment in time. We don't have it.
But he's still trying to manage games with the ball in a similar way.
And that's okay if you're just going to hold the ball.
When we get to the final third.
Like, you have to have the person at the end of it, like a Haaland or like a Phil Foden, that's going to then make that worth it your while. You can't play that way without that person.
Yeah, I just don't think this is fixed by signing another winger. And I think, look, it's nailed down. We need a centre back, obviously. That goes without saying. I think you really do need to be looking at another striker. We really do. I think going forward, we're going to need 3 strikers anyway. Because Dan's just is too young. He's too raw, and his injuries set him back. So if he didn't get injured, and he was knocking around the squad in and out and playing minutes here and there, and a year further down the line than where he was 12 months ago, there would be calls for him to probably starting now. But
it's all ifs, ands, and maybes, though. It's like Baccetic saying that he's a viable option. He's not.
Yeah.
But
there's still players that are at the club who are being paid a wage, and they're not available to us. So they still need those players to be available to the manager, and if they can't do it, we need other players to be brought in who are available.
Well, it's like we could go in circles here, but it's like take Endo for example. Like when he's fit, he sits on the bench. He doesn't get brought on. When he's not fit, you hear the manager talk about how I would have brought Endo on to manage a game. Bullshit, you would have.
Heard that.
Absolutely bullshit. Yeah. Like I heard that quote last week, and I'm like, you haven't done that all year. Endo's taking up a homegrown spot, and either he plays or he doesn't play. You have to sell him. You have to sell him this window so you can get money for him first and foremost, so that he can go and play, so that he can represent his nation as the captain, and so that you can free up that spot and bring in someone that you're actually going to fucking use. Because this idea of having almost like token players it blows my mind. The fact that we're in this place, that we have players like a Chiesa or like an Endo taking up these roles, and they're playing 14 minutes over the course of a month. Like, that's ridiculous.
What is it? We've got, how many are you allowed? It's 18 you're allowed, isn't it? There's a 17. I think you're allowed 18, and we have 17.
I think it's 18, and there's one free, and then our homegrown is currently at its minimum.
So we need to get Elliott back to add to that. We need to be able to get into a situation where Endo or Chiesa's space within the squad is taken up by someone who will actually affect the starting 11. Or who will
just take valuable minutes to help the players that are on the pitch not burn out.
Yeah, to keep them out of the red zone. Yeah,
I don't even care if they're like, obviously I want them to be shiny and effective, but I wouldn't even mind just someone that was utilitarian, that could just come on and take minutes and tick people over. Because right now, Endo is not serving that purpose either. I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely need to be active in this window. And the scary thing is there's no noise
other than Ordonez
coming out other than Ordonez. And look, I think that deal, by all accounts,
I hope it gets done.
It's from the player's side, it looks, apparently it's agreed. according to some reports that are out there. It's club to club contact that needs to happen, and hopefully that happens and that deal gets done, and he might be available for the FA Cup
Yeah.
game. But I definitely think we need a 9, at least a 9. I wouldn't mind bringing in a defensive side midfielder, even if it's someone with a bit of experience, an older, more mature player to come in. Not talking about someone 30 plus, talking about someone who's experienced, who can come in and you can trust to play games. And there, this is what Richard Hughes was brought into the club for. He was brought into the club for the quality of the build that he did at Bournemouth, finding gems to come into the Premier League and be effective. So he's done it at Bournemouth with a plethora of players. So the idea now that suddenly is dried up because he's at Liverpool. Not every signing has to be at Florian Wirtz's level.
And I think that's the biggest thing that I want to. I want to see the ability for variance in our signings. I want to see. I get it. Like, you want to make an impact as a director of football. You want to get. I remember reading a quote from him where he said, basically, Hughes, that is, he said, "My job is to give the manager the best possible players that I can." And fair enough. I think that he did a very decent job of getting the best players that were on the market for Arne Slot to use. Caveat that I don't necessarily know if they fit the system. I don't know if they would have been the players that Slot would have picked. But let's just say that you've accomplished that goal. There's also room, and I said this the other day, there's room for your Andy Robertsons. There's room for your other players. I would love to see what he's done at Bournemouth happen over the window in January. If you don't have that much money to spend, cool, go and find a couple of, I don't know, 15-ish million to $35 million players, pound players, whatever, and have them come in so that they can be cogs in the machine, because we're going to need the cogs in the machine. We're short on squad now. We will be short on squad later. And you need your Medwekes, your Norgards, your, Lewis Skellies, your Jesuses. You need that caliber of player on the bench to be able to fill in. Tony,
100%.
if the tax thing wasn't an issue, Tony would make a lot of sense. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the taxes, and someone would have to pay them. But he would make a lot of sense. You're absolutely right. He's also homegrown, so there you go. Check.
Yeah, the way it works with the UK is if you're UK citizen, if you work in the UK, if you're a British citizen, a citizen in the UK, and you go to work abroad, if you come back under 2 years, you're liable for the tax that you've earned in that country in the UK at the UK tax rate. That's why Jordan Henderson ended up going to Ajax rather than coming straight back to the UK. Yeah. You have to be out of the UK for, I think it's over 3 years. So that's why Henderson waited for that year to come back to the UK. I think it's either 2 years or 3 years. I think it might be 2. It's one or the other. But that's the reason why Ivan Toney is more than likely to, in my opinion, probably end up in Turkey before coming back to the UK. But there's kind of there's a reason why an Ivan Toney probably doesn't happen. But there's plenty of strikers around the world playing in top 5 leagues who
look at Bournemouth as your body of work. Look at Ivan Nielsen. He came from nowhere. Nobody knew that he was gonna. I mean, and granted, he's not Holland. He's not gonna be on the top of the goal scoring charts. But having someone like that can just play a role, that can just step in a way that I would argue that Ivan Nielsen is more impactful than Chiesa. Someone like that could do that, I think, is what I'd be looking for.
And that's what you're going to be looking for. there's no excuse not for them not to be busy. I mean, go back to your choice of the three. What would you go for? Man of the match, honorable mention,
I
and
think
think about it.
Frimpong was my man of the match. I think that he looked
Yep.
like he was trying to actually do some penetrative things. I like his pace. I think that we need to use it more. There was one chance that we had where we gave a ball in behind and he absolutely fleeced Goodmanson. I thought we could have done that way more because he had the beating of him. And I liked seeing that. I don't love him in that forward role. I think that I think that's just, again, it's another round peg in a square hole or vice versa.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you could have just played him at right back and had a attacking threat from someone else, but I like him. My honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Rio just for seizing his opportunity. I think that he had more chances created than Gakpo and Chiesa combined in the, I think, 12 minutes that he was on the pitch. So I appreciate him seizing that opportunity. There was a couple of moments in the beginning where I thought he looked a little bit shy. And then toward the end of the game, he was actually taking players on, and we saw the best of him. I agree with your shout on the manager, but I'm going to put it on Verts. But I kind of am going to put it with a caveat that I think that Slot's tactics today negated all of the good things that Verts has kind of grown with recently. Florian Wirtz was recently interviewed for a German publication. He was talking about how Jones had platformed him and how he had sort of been part of everything good that he had been doing over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. You've not only moved Jones away from helping him, you've also put Szoboszlai in a place where you're starting to kind of interfere with Wirtz's, like, Wirtz just needs like a bubble around him, basically, where he can do whatever he wants in the bubble. Don't go into the bubble. And for me, Szoboszlai was going into his bubble, and that didn't work for me. So part of this is on the player, but a lot of this is on the tactics. So that's my caveat with him.
One thing on Jones, he completed or made the most passes of anyone who played 45 minutes or more, but he was on the ball about 50-60% less today. I think he had a total of 56 passes. The last few games when he's been really heavily involved, he's had over 100 passes. He's been constantly on the ball. And I think that was telling because of the position he was asked to take up today. More central, less involved, more of a defensive type midfielder where he was asked to be. He just wasn't on the ball or as effective anywhere near as much.
It was that straitjacket thing that that you guys mentioned in the chat, which was a great call. I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why you take the green shoots, you cut them off. Like, you see something that's good, you see something that's building. You see, like, Ekitike and Wirtz and Kirkes building this kind of beautiful little thing on the left side. And then you have Szoboszlai, who has, in the past, been so wonderful on the right side. And you're moving him over to the left? Like, I don't know why you're doing it. I don't understand it. But I guess that's sort of.
Well, there's another one there. And in fairness, Tony makes a point.
I think Bradley suffers from having Frimpong in front of him because I think that the two of them are not on the same page. I think that Bradley doesn't know when to let Frimpong overlap versus when he thinks he should be the one that's carrying the width. And I think they just get in each other's way, which is why I was saying, I think you're wasting a position by playing them both. Just put Frimpong in the right back position. And if you, I don't care who you put Chiesa up there. That would have made more sense to me. It looked better and more balanced with Chiesa in the Wolves game.
I thought McAllister would start in the 10, and I thought Szoboszlai would start wide right.
Because that's what's worked in the past. Right. I don't know why we deviated.
Nor do I. I don't get it. And it's like you're not helping either Frimpong or Bradley. The one thing I'd say about Bradley today, I thought his touch was poor. The amount of times he overhit the ball, nearly got injured when he knocked the ball ahead.
A couple of pointless tackles as well. If he's lucky, he
some of
didn't get a
his
yellow card.
It just wasn't a good day at the office for him, full stop. But I honestly think he wasn't helped by the way he was asked to play.
I just don't think it makes sense. And I think, you know what it does? It harkens back. I guess the same thing I was saying at the beginning of the show, I'll say again now, harkens back kind of to that era of the Crystal Palace game when things were kind of all going wrong, where you started to see Slot tinker too much. And you were saying, why are you doing this? Why are you shifting players around like this? Why, when we just found a stable foundation, are you now playing this person in this position? Or why are you rotating this? There was one game where he actually put Endo in and it looked completely off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand when you're trying to build something and it has been so incredibly shaky, why you would then shake the foundation. Like, why are you doing that?
Josh makes a point here. He's not sure what the manager wants Bradley to actually do. There was a couple of times where he made underlapping runs. The first time he did it, I remember texting you guys saying, I love that run. I love that run because it takes a centre-back. But to make that run effective, Szoboszlai has to be drifting out onto the right to be the option to link with Frimpong or to be the one who can take the ball inside. But Bradley making that run and Frimpong trying to find him, it has to be inch perfect, razor sharp, or it's going to get cut out. But by having Szoboszlai there on that right-hand side with Frimpong and Bradley making the inside run to take the centre-back away, allows Frimpong to give it to Szoboszlai and run at the space. It didn't happen. And that was the main reason why I thought, as bad as I think McAllister is in the 10, I think you take away a lot from Szoboszlai in that role as a 10.
I don't want to see Szoboszlai there.
Asking him to do that job. You're better off playing a flat 4-3-3 where Szoboszlai and Jones either side of Gravenberch and you attack.
I want it to be Gravenberch as the deepest, Jones as the second deepest, then Szoboszlai, and then whoever is going to be the tip of whatever you want to call it, a rhombus. It's not really a diamond.
Yeah.
No,
it's not a diamond,
but it's
I get you.
It's a weird kind of shape that is slightly geometrical.
Well, Dermot makes a point that it was a carbon copy of the Wolves games without the goals. Completely disagree. Because the first half in the Wolves game, we were really good. We hit the post twice, scored twice.
There was a gear that we went into.
Created chances. Yeah, there was a game plan for it. And we had less on the bench to be able to affect change. That's what I get where you're coming from with you're coming up against two different low blocks. But I honestly think the way we played in the first half against Wolves, where we created space, but with movement and quick passing. Whereas today it was static and slow.
It's like choosing the lesser of two evils, isn't it? Though, saying, do you want 45 minutes of good performance and 45 minutes of shit performance, or do you want 90 minutes of mediocre performance? Because that's what the choice kind of feels like. It honestly feels like, mediocre. I mean, Madge asked the question, do you think that we were unlucky today? No, I don't.
No, I don't.
I think that maybe
think it would have been the height of highway robbery if we got
if Ekitike had gone down, maybe that penalty would have been given. Outside of that, I don't think we earned the win in any way, shape, or form.
No, nor do I. And look, that penalty shout, it'll drive me mad if you see that given in a couple of weeks' time.
It's not going to be given if a player doesn't go down. And to me, I'm all for refereeing decisions. That's my kind of niche and whatever. But at the same time, I'm not going to hang my hat the way that an Arsenal fan would on the idea that the referee has stolen the points away from us. I'm sorry. That's not the case here. The draw was a fair result. We didn't even touch upon the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin nearly scored and nearly took the 3 points away. And honestly, it was a pretty close offside. It was another easy brain fart. We were fortunate that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's toe was half an inch in front of Virgil's toe.
Yeah, no, he was. Look, I saw it. When I saw it, I thought, how did he get that space? He got that space because it was offside. But it was I just looked at that. I think it would have been really, really harsh on Leeds to not come away with a point. But I think I mean, Tony makes the point there. Leeds defended really well. They did, but we
Did
allowed them
we
to be
ask
able to
them
defend
really that
really
many
well because we didn't.
questions?
No,
Like
we
they were
didn't.
defending their box. Like we had the ball,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm curious in terms of like how many touches we actually had in the box. It looks like we had 11 shots from inside the box, but somehow we only got 4 shots on target. So our accuracy
Yeah, a lot of
is
blocks.
kind of shit. You know, our passing was okay. You know, one thing that really does stand out again though is our ability to win duels. Our duels were down at 43%. That's bad.
Yeah. Considering we won virtually every header.
The aerial duels are a
every
little bit better.
defensive
I mean,
header.
they're still only 52% though. Like, so our aerial duels won. It's not actually as good as you might the eye test.
I think that is that's a false stat because I was looking at Ibu's defensive stats and he won every header, defensive header.
Ibu did,
so
but there were a lot of times
whether
where
it's
it
a
was
case,
like McAllister that was contesting for a duel, or
exactly,
and those
yeah,
are the
whether it's
ones
those
that
kind
we
of ones,
lose.
yeah. They're the ones who
Yeah.
skew it. Again, another one. Gravenberch wasn't great. He did what it says in the tin. As defensively, he was fine. He was an outball. He rotated the play, but again, he was ineffective with some of his passing. He wasn't incisive with any of his passing. You know, it was very safe. It was ultra safe. But look, we're out again on Sunday. Way to Fulham. Not sure. We'll probably have a chat about Fulham. They got a draw today.
I'm sure we'll probably talk about them tomorrow. I don't. I have to talk to Gav about good process. We might try to sneak that in somewhere as well because there are a few things that we probably need to talk about. But yeah, turn the notifications on because nobody knows what day it is. It is the first day of the new year.
We're
so happy
still
New
in
Year
Sunday,
to everyone. In case I didn't say that at the very beginning of the show. But yeah, just keep the notifications on. We will be back kind of in and around the space talking, whether it's on our Patreon. If you're not a member of our Patreon, it's right there if you choose.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, that's
let's just not get it twisted here, Johnny. We were lucky to get a point.
I think it was it was a very fair result to have a 0-0 draw, and it was our first 0-0 draw in 116 days or 16 games, not days. Days would be crazy, but in 116 games, which is over 2 years. So I know our last one was against United back in 2023. So it's been a long time since a 0-0 draw. So
In fairness, when you think about it, I mean the amount of we've
had
a lot
draws,
but
lots of scoring draws. So the idea of us not
they tend to be score draws.
We aren't normally this.
And that goes back to what I said earlier about only scoring 30 goals at this point of the season. We're just not scoring enough. I mean, look, we seem to have stemmed the flow at the other end. It's good to get another clean sheet.
It's Alisson's 100th clean sheet. He's the 5th keeper in Liverpool history to reach 100. Fun fact.
Cool. But it's at the other end. I mean, we've got to figure out a way of creating more chances.
I can't wait for the narrative of Mo Salah coming back and being our savior after the narrative of Mo Salah leaving.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that seems like a long way off at the minute because there's every chance that Egypt carry on. But once they get into the knockout football, he could be back.
Well, it is. I think they are in knockouts now. I think they just kind of start at this point. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think that's.
What are your plans for the rest of New Year's Day?
God, I mean,
you up to anything much?
Not really. I mean, I need to make dinner. It's nearly 5 o'clock over here. What is it over there? 10 o'clock? You guys need to just go to bed.
Nearly 9:30.
Cam has an entire board game bonanza that he's going to do now, so he gets to kind of check out and do no more football talk.
Exactly. So I'm tucking into a few bottles and going to enjoy the rest of New Year's Day.
Davey says my New Year's resolution of not swearing is out the window. I would never make that New Year's resolution.
I am not that arrogant. I am definitely not that articulate either. There is no way that I could get through these shows without that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely there's some coping mechanisms involved with doing these shows that we kind of keep behind the
100%.
curtain, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, and we will keep them there for
Yeah.
now. But I think that's
Right.
probably enough for us tonight. I appreciate everyone
Yeah.
kind of coming in, talking after kind of such a shit result, because it's hard to kind of come here and articulate ourselves in this way, but it's helpful. I know that it's helpful for people in the chat to be able to communicate with one another, but it's also helpful for us to be able to communicate with you and just sort of process everything, because it takes the sting off of just what is, all I can
Yeah.
say is a
And
lackluster
that's what it's got
result.
to be, isn't it?
What?
That's what it's got to be.
Yeah,
You got to.
it's just
I mean,
it's just talk. Like it is what it
game
is.
of ball at the end of the day.
You know, yeah. I'm glad that nobody in the chat was too crazy. I appreciate, you know,
Yeah, the one thing that I've seen New Year's Day fixtures go absolute
yeah.
bananas. And in fairness, is the one thing you look at today's games. I saw there were some big
A lot of
scorelines
draws.
in the chat.
It's just a lot of draws. Everyone's kind of
Yeah.
mad. Like maybe they were all just out on the champagne last night. I don't know.
As it stands at the minute, Palace drew 1-1. We drew 0-0. Brentford, Tottenham, Sunderland, City are both 0-0.
So we're basically just par for the course. I don't know. Maybe we're being extremely harsh.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Anyway,
all right,
let's go.
Everyone, thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully with a preview show, and then we will be back after the Fulham game. So check that out. Thank you again so much, and Happy New Year to everyone that's in the chat and that's listening afterwards, whether it's on Patreon or on any of our YouTube channels or on our Spotify, etc., etc., etc. Kev, I'm going to let you take us out of here, and hopefully bigger and better things coming on Sunday. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everyone.